Warm welcome back to the channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Qantas Group is amid one of its biggest turnaround efforts from the public perception standpoint to other key elements in history. This includes fleet turnover, as it says bon voyage to aging aircraft types, and favouring next-gen aircraft. While yes, great focus is placed on the airline's ability to welcome in next-gen types and lower the average age of the fleet and therefore emissions, aircraft are also being brought in with the intention of growth occurring, with new aircraft on the cards. Where on earth will these be deployed? Project Sunrise is arguably one of the more ambitious undertakings at Qantas. It has felt like a long time in the making. Still, with every passing moment, it certainly inches closer to officially launching after what will undoubtedly be a decade-long process from the many aircraft studies that initially took place to official launch. But what markets are being studied? Well, with the A350-1000 ULRs essentially, there's great potential, but equally, only a bit of what these planes can do has really been revealed to the public in terms of routes. For example, the aircraft will be huge in allowing Qantas to reach markets it flies towards without a single stop. Yes, I'm talking directly towards the likes of London Heathrow and New York JFK, from the east coast of Australia. These two locations have led from the front when considering the airline's propositions. These flights likely occur from Sydney and or Melbourne, the two cities touted. However, you'd argue the New South Wales-based city is likely leading from the front. The A350-1000s will unlock some 20-plus hour journeys, with 12 total units to be configured for the ULR model. However, the possibilities are also more intense than just these locations that are typically touted when I'm discussing, and most people would mention to you, Project Sunrise. Non-stop flying towards locations such as Rio de Janeiro, Paris, and Cape Town were also listed when the airline was challenging Airbus and Boeing to produce aircraft capable of flying the distances it would require. So there's still great potential, and remember there are 12 units, so there will be the ability to fly to other locations. Furthermore, even other Australian cities could see the aircraft as more units are delivered. However, Sydney will likely do the honours as the first. Project Sunrise is ultimately one of the many focuses for the airline moving ahead. As other aircraft continue to arrive in the years to come though, it has to be mentioned that there will be growth elsewhere. So what other markets are being mentioned as potentials that a company could be interested in exploring? Well, executives such as Vanessa Hudson have been hugely vocal about their future across very specific markets, focusing firstly on continuing to enhance flying towards North America, with Seattle, Chicago, Las Vegas just listed as some of the many cities that are of great interest, and this comes after a launch to Dallas-Fort Worth. These longer flights provide access to, most noteworthy, the American Airlines hub, and thus onward connectivity options, while allowing for deeper non-stop travel stateside, rather than say just heading to the likes of San Francisco and or Los Angeles, even Vancouver. Similar to Dallas, Chicago is another hub for their key partner American Airlines and has long been on the radar. Suppose you've been closely following the Australian carrier's movements in recent times. Well, in that case, you may very well remember that before the pandemic, dialogue about this service launch was quite present. But that pandemic derailed many ambitions such as this one. Seattle is another market similar to Las Vegas, which has been thrown around for some time, but with little to no eventual progression. Much of that inability to generally progress relates to the overall lack of aircraft available for the respective airlines, with delivery delays. However, you could argue in the past a failure to see how the industry would progress so quickly and competition would come from nowhere to hurt the airline may have really scarred the Qantas perspective on things. European expansion is something else set to be on the cards, with markets such as Greece and Frankfurt always to be mentioned. However, there are still very visible concerns about these routes being launched. You've got to consider, how will Qantas have all the available jets to do this in such a short space of time? Remember, the Airbus A330s and A380s will begin to be retired as the years progress. Thus, should this weaken overall wide bodies available? Well, while while the airline does have replacement plans present, it simply isn't as easy as you may have thought. Deliveries are so spread out, even commencing in the 2030s, that new aircraft are absolutely not going to be rapidly introduced like some other of your major leading international airlines. Qantas is often openly critiqued for its international network, which some believe needs to be improved compared to other national airlines, especially considering the demand levels that are being seen and the heightened competition. Now, if anything, again, it really is facing those increased competition levels from other major international airlines that are bursting on the scene, and you can best believe that it's only going to continue. Look no further than Indigo, who will be acquiring wide-body aircraft and are looking towards Australia. The India to Australia market heavily important, and now Qantas is going to face more competition if it doesn't get its foot in the door already. It has long faced concerns about its ability to increase market share, not having the capacity to do so. But the airline is also known for its more minor and incremental growth plans, which have served it well, but no doubt are going to present some concerns from onlookers, as they may believe that other international airlines are coming to the table far more well equipped. Furthermore, the use of Perth in Western Australia as a hub has become a great asset for the airline, and people who call the state home, it's a considerable boost, a gateway to Europe if you will at this point. However, this is often considered inconvenient for some, and not the most optimal location to be stopping over at if you're looking at Australia on a whole. Funny that, as it is technically still in the same country, but people have some strong opinions. You can browse travel forums and more, and that won't speak for the vast majority, but still gives us a bit of an insight onto those that maybe think a little bit more about their travels than, say, the average person. And this Perth stopover for, say, someone in Brisbane, sometimes even, say, Melbourne and or Sydney, is considered not convenient, and these travellers would rather international markets such as Singapore, Hong Kong, or locations in the Middle East that provide greater options for then onward travel to, say, markets that Qantas are not serving, maybe through their partners or just a competitor airline that has network as an advantage. When considering expansion, there's more to it than just what available aircraft Qantas may have at one certain time point. You've also got to remember that what do these markets really have in regards to overall demand? Is it going to be year-round, or is it simply going to be seasonal? And if so, does Qantas have the available planes to make this worthwhile? And even then, is it actually worth to, say, send a Dreamliner for just 4 months a year of flying? Is that demand truly going to make the route profitable? It's an interesting proposition, and I definitely think there are a lot of markets that Qantas can look to grow in the future. Time will only tell, and a big focus will be placed on competition and how they'll deal with the acquisition of new aircraft, alongside managing the retirement of aging ones. I'd love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. I think these kinds of videos can spark a really fascinating dialogue down below. Are there any locations that you would genuinely really like to see Qantas spread its wings to, or potentially return to? Is that Chicago? Is it Frankfurt, Amsterdam, or are we maybe looking towards Rio de Janeiro eventually, and Cape Town for Project Sunrise? Thanks a lot for your support here on GlobeTrotting. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days for your latest industry analysis.
And we'll fly.